What if I told you that right now in your own kitchen there is a poison so dangerous it quietly destroys your memory without pain, without warning, and without mercy? You see it every day. You trust it. And there's a very real chance you consumed it this morning without a second thought. These familiar things don't harm you all at once. They are far more cruel than that. Drop by drop, day after day, they corrode silently, oxidizing and damaging the most complex and precious organ you own, your brain. I'm Dr. Adriana, and welcome on the Quick Health Talks. And after decades studying the aging brain, what has broken my heart the most is not incurable diseases, it's watching intelligent, vibrant people, full of memories, personality, and identity, slowly fade away from damage that was entirely preventable. They come to me when it's already too late, when the mental fog has fully settled in, when names disappear, when confusion becomes daily. And almost every time they ask the same painful question: Doctor, why didn't I notice sooner? Today I want to change that. I'm not going to speak to you in complicated medical terms. I want to sit with you like a friend and tell you the truth plainly, honestly, and without fear-mongering. I'm going to show you the number one toxin silently poisoning your brain and why identifying it now is not just knowledge. It may be the only shield you have to protect your memory and your identity before time closes the door. Stay with me. Your brain is a silent hero. It coordinates every heartbeat, every movement, every thought, and stores a lifetime of memories, all without complaint. And that silence is exactly what makes brain damage so dangerous. When your heart struggles, it hurts. When your stomach is inflamed, it burns. But when your brain begins to deteriorate, it whispers nothing. Neurodegeneration is like a thief in the night. It doesn't attack head-on. It steals clarity slowly over many years. By the time you notice frequent forgetfulness, trouble finding words, or mental confusion, the damage is often deep and sometimes irreversible. In my clinic, I've seen the fear in patients' eyes when they receive a diagnosis of dementia, not because of pain, but because of what it represents, the loss of self. And the cruel reality is this: Alzheimer's disease doesn't begin when symptoms appear. It begins decades earlier, fueled by silent toxins we live with every single day. As we age, our vulnerability increases. That's not weakness, it's biology. Think of your brain like the engine of a classic car. It has run faithfully for 60 or 70 years. It's still powerful, still valuable, but it can no longer tolerate low-quality fuel the way it once could. The tragedy is that many people continue feeding that precious engine the very substances that accelerate its breakdown, completely unaware. The damage doesn't happen overnight. It's the accumulation of thousands of microscopic injuries over decades, and that slow erosion is the direct path toward Alzheimer's disease and other forms of dementia. At the same time, aging often brings three additional enemies: high blood pressure, diabetes, and high cholesterol. I call them the three hammers, constantly striking the delicate blood vessels that nourish the brain. Anything that strengthens those hammers is an attack on your mind itself. To help you defend yourself, I've distilled years of research and clinical experience into a clear list of the most dangerous brain destroyers, starting with the ones people overlook the most. Let's begin. Toxin number 4, a sedentary lifestyle. This enemy is a master of disguise. It's not food, it's not drink, it's not something you consume, it's something you don't do. Inactivity. You might wonder, doctor, if I'm just sitting, how could that possibly affect my brain? The answer is everything. Your brain weighs only about 2% of your body weight, yet it consumes up to 20% of your oxygen and energy. To stay alive and sharp, it depends on a powerful, continuous flow of oxygen-rich blood. Movement is what keeps that river flowing. When you walk, your heart pumps with strength. Fresh blood washes over brain cells, delivering oxygen and nutrients while clearing metabolic waste. But when you sit for hours, day after day, that river slows. It becomes stagnant, and stagnant water becomes toxic. This is when the gates open to obesity, high blood pressure, and diabetes. But the most painful loss happens at a chemical level. There is a powerful compound called BDNF. brain-derived neurotrophic factor. I call it brain fertilizer. It helps create new neurons, strengthen connections, and preserve memory. Every step you take releases BDNF. Inactivity shuts off the valve. Without BDNF, the brain begins to wither and Alzheimer's risk rises dramatically. The solution is not extreme exercise. You don't need to become an athlete. You need movement, consistent, gentle movement. If you sit for long periods, stand up every hour, stretch, walk for 10 minutes. Next week, walk 15. Consistency matters more than intensity. Remember this, any movement is better than stillness. Every step is fresh water for your mental garden. Toxin number 3, alcohol. This one is especially dangerous because of how socially accepted it is. It sparkles in glasses. It's celebrated. It's associated with relaxation and pleasure. But from a neurological perspective, alcohol is a direct neurotoxin. When you drink, alcohol crosses the blood-brain barrier effortlessly, a barrier designed to protect your brain from harm. Once inside, it begins destruction. It shrinks brain tissue, it damages the hippocampus where memories are formed, and it suppresses BDNF production. Even moderate but frequent drinking accelerates cognitive decline. The idea that alcohol is good for the brain is one of the most persistent myths in modern health culture. If you rely on alcohol to relax, that's a warning sign, not a solution. If you choose to drink, make it rare, make it intentional. But understand this clearly. There is no completely safe dose of alcohol for an aging brain. If you can live without it, your brain will reward you with clarity every morning. Toxin number 2, lack of sleep. This is one of the most underestimated brain destroyers of all. Many people proudly say, I only need 5 or 6 hours of sleep. Feeling fine does not mean your brain is protected. Your brain produces waste all day, toxic proteins that must be cleared. That cleanup only happens during deep sleep. When you sleep, a remarkable cleaning system activates, flushing out debris, including beta amyloid and tau proteins, the very substances that form Alzheimer's plaques. When sleep is shortened or irregular, the cleanup never finishes. Waste accumulates year after year. Neurons slowly suffocate. Sleep is not optional. It is not laziness. It is brain survival. 7 to n hours regular schedule. Dark, quiet environment. Screens off before bed. When you sleep properly, your brain is restored. When you don't, degeneration accelerates. We've uncovered 3 silent destroyers so far: inactivity, alcohol, and sleep deprivation. All of them are dangerous. But now I want you to take a deep breath because the final toxin, the number 1 poison, is far more common, far more addictive, and far more destructive than all the others combined. And it's hiding in plain sight. Now we arrive at the most dangerous toxin of all, the one responsible for more memory loss, more cognitive decline, and more Alzheimer's cases than anything else I've seen in my career. It doesn't come with a warning label, it doesn't feel dangerous, and it's often marketed as comfort, tradition, or even energy. I'm talking about refined sugar and refined flour. Yes, that sweet powder, that white bread, that pastry, cereal, soda, juice, and pasta that so many people consume every single day without a second thought. In over 20 years of neurological practice, I can say this without hesitation. This duo has played a central role in turning dementia into a silent epidemic. Why am I so certain? Because sugar and refined flour don't attack the brain with one single blow. They launch a 5F front-on assault against your neurons. First attack, brain starvation. Every time you consume sugar or refined carbohydrates, blood glucose rises sharply. When this happens repeatedly over years, the body becomes resistant to insulin. What most people don't realize is that the brain also becomes insulin resistant. Neurons stop responding. They close their doors to energy. Even though your blood is flooded with sugar, your brain cells are literally starving. This is why many scientists now refer to Alzheimer's disease as type diabetes. People with diabetes have up to double the risk of developing dementia. Second attack, chronic inflammation. Sugar is fuel for inflammation. Each spoonful ignites a low-grade inflammatory fire inside the brain. Over time, this fire damages neurons and breaks the delicate connections between them. Inflammation is one of the primary drivers of accelerated brain aging. Third attack, cutting off the blood supply. Sugar damages the inner lining of blood vessels, contributing to high blood pressure and atherosclerosis. When the highways that deliver oxygen to the brain narrow or clog, neurons suffocate. This leads to vascular dementia, a slow, silent loss of mental function caused by poor circulation. Fourth attack, protein glycation, the caramelization of the brain. This sounds unsettling, but it's real. Excess sugar binds to proteins in the brain through a process called glycation. Imagine sugar melting in a hot pan. Sticky, rigid, destructive. This process deforms proteins and contributes to the formation of beta amyloid plaques, the hallmark of Alzheimer's disease. Fifth attack, blocking regeneration. Sugar suppresses BDNF, the brain's growth and repair fertilizer. Without it, the brain loses its ability to form new connections, learn, and store memories. Every time you say no to a sugary snack, you're not dieting for appearance. You are protecting your identity. Now, I know this may sound frightening, but here is the hopeful truth. Your brain has an extraordinary capacity to heal. It's like fertile soil waiting for toxins to stop pouring in. And reclaiming control does not require perfection. It requires awareness and consistent action. Here are 5 strategic steps to defend your brain starting today. Step 1. Read labels with suspicion. Sugar hides under dozens of names: fructose, dextrose, maltose, corn syrup. If sugar appears early on the ingredient list, that product is not brain-friendly. Step 2. Eliminate liquid sugar. Sodas, sweetened teas, energy drinks, and packaged juices are sugar injections straight into the bloodstream. Replace them with water, herbal teas, or water with fresh lemon. This single change can dramatically reduce brain inflammation. Step 3. Beware of low-fat traps. When manufacturers remove fat, they often add sugar to preserve taste. Choose whole, unprocessed foods instead. Natural yogurt, real vegetables, real proteins. Step 4. Nourish your brain with healthy fats. Your brain is nearly 60% fat. Olive oil, avocados, nuts, seeds, and fatty fish provide the building blocks your neurons need to function and protect themselves. Step 5. Prioritize real food. Foods that grow from the ground or swim in water. When your plate is filled with vegetables, fish, clean proteins, and whole fruits, refined sugar and flour naturally lose their place. Breaking sugar's hold is not punishment. It is self-defense. Today, we've exposed the silent enemies of the brain: inactivity, alcohol, sleep deprivation, and finally, the most destructive toxin of all. If this feels overwhelming, pause and breathe. My goal is not fear, it is power. Dementia and Alzheimer's are not inevitable destinies. They are influenced strongly by daily choices. Research shows that people who adopt brain-protective lifestyles can reduce their risk of dementia by up to 70%. That is not a small margin. That is a life reclaimed. You don't need to change everything overnight. Start with one choice today, then another tomorrow. Each small decision is a vote for your future clarity. Your mind is not just an organ. It is your memories, your identity, your ability to love and be loved. Protect it fiercely. If this message resonated with you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone you care about. One conversation can preserve a lifetime of memories. I'm Dr. Adriana. Thank you for giving me these moments of your attention, and thank you for choosing your brain.